Okay, we are we ready? It's 4 o'clock. Do we have a quorum? I'm looking for,
Need to send some reminders.
do we have Beverly,
No.
Philip, or um,
You're a quorum of one.
uh-oh.
Okay. And we just resent there's Beverly, that's two.
Yeah,
Hey, Beverly.
Hey there.
And I've been in communication with Rob Johnson, so I know he's coming.
okay.
And we resent the link. And so that just happened. But what I'll do is I'll text, let's see, I guess that's Philip and
Maurice,
Norris.
and Beverly, I did pull the plug to delay tomorrow.
I
Well-
saw that. Was that so? I texted you. I just wanted to know, was it was there not, was it just the cold in the morning? Were the other factors?
No,
And,
I
I love
wind,
the part you said here. Yes, the wind chill factor is too cold for students to wait. We made the right decision. I wasn't
Well-
questioning you.
no. I met with my cabinet at 12:30 and we were going over this and they were saying, just think, if a bus is late 5 to 10 minutes picking that child up and they're standing outside in the cold. So
Yeah.
and the
Oh,
wind
no,
chill
I
is gonna,
agree.
yeah.
I just talked to our facilities. Georgia Power,
Yes,
our usual standard rate is 7 cents a kilowatt.
yes.
Did you see what it's going to be tomorrow morning?
No, what, 14?
$2.07 as opposed to 7 cents.
What?
Yeah, so I wondered, maybe that's why you canceled.
Everybody, yeah, because they charge it, it's on you, yeah.
Well, I didn't know that, but
On sweatshirts.
Yeah,
wow. Okay. And we'll monitor the rest of this week, but
yeah, it's going to be cold every
Yeah.
day.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, one more person and then we'll have a quorum.
That's right. I wrote to Philip and to Norris.
Okay.
But who is it? Rob, and I already wrote to Rob. He's trying. Recent.
Yeah.
Rob's challenged, right?
Can Philip call in if he can't do Zoom?
That's exactly right. That's what I just told him. I just called him and
He probably doesn't know. Remember Barry locks down Zoom like crazy
Oh, gosh.
for some
I
reason.
know about that.
Where are your mouse real quick?
I'm gonna text Philip and see if he can just join via phone.
There he is.
Who's that?
Philip.
Oh,
He's in.
Phillips in.
When we get, and then somebody
Here's what Leo does.
There's Philip Brown. Okay.
Philip's in?
Yes,
All right.
you now have your quorum.
Okay, good. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'll start off. This meeting is called to order at 4:05 p.m. January the 16th, 2024. So I need a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
In a second,
Philip,
Philip, we're a party of three at the moment.
Yeah, so Philip, it's you and I pretty much the entire time.
Philip? Blink if you say yes.
or raise the bar on your phone or something.
I totally understand what's going on.
Did he clock out?
He must not have heard it, couldn't.
I think he's
Unmute or something.
recoming. You lost your quorum.
But we have an agenda.
We have partially approved agenda. Watch it for. Unable to unmute, attempting to rejoin. That's Philip,
There he is.
Okay,
but he said he couldn't unmute.
he can't unmute. So can he use his
out of chat.
toolbar to just wave his
Okay,
hand?
could you go to the chat, Philip, and say you second the approval of the agenda?
Good.
He approved it. We now have an agenda.
We now have an agenda now. Ask for a motion to approve approve minutes from the October 24, 2023 meeting.
Make a
I'll make the
motion.
motion to approve the minutes.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Philip, if you'll go in second, great. Let's move forward. All right.
And
Dr.
all those
Gib-
approved say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Sherman, Gibney Sherman, any public comment?
No, none. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the superintendent's report, which is item 5 on our agenda.
Okay. And as part of the 365-page document, the staffing is as normal. I am going to talk about 2 positions that we've added that I'll talk about later.
Okay.
The enrollment is, as you see, and steady. I'm glad to say 90% of our program students did return, and so we're grateful for that. So the progress reports, and there's a new progress report targeted specifically to the liaisons that gives them at will a status report of each of the students and how they're progressing. And if you want more information, and probably in another setting, Dale will be happy to share that with you. Copy of our newsletters. It looks, oh, Rob Johnson's coming in.
Okay.
Okay, hey, Rob, we're moving right through. We're on the superintendent's report. As of the end of December, we have 155 graduates. Of course, that number will be lower because all of our program students now graduate from their home school and not Foothills.
Okay.
And then our total so far since we opened is 2,336.
Awesome.
Which we'll take that. And go into the programs. We have, as you know, in our newsletter that we send out since we've been doing for 10 years, one focuses on the student and one focuses on the program. And so the second one is looking at the curriculum and data team. Course status, of course, we'll have fewer reports because our program students' data goes over to the home school. But you can see where we stand with the in the course test administration. Now, the last item under programs is something I know you're all familiar with, and that's cross-functional monitoring. And we gave you a document to explain. We're going through that procedure on January the 31st. And that's just an explanation. And again, I know you're all familiar. And Lynn Howard is online if anyone has any question. She's orchestrating that for us. And I think we're ready, but they're coming, if we're ready or not. I'll just pause right there, see if there are any questions, or Lynn, if there's anything in particular we need to say. Okay. Moving right on. Discussion items, we have the financial updates, and Bonnie will briefly go through those.
And I'm gonna go really quick. We've got 5 attachments, so I'm just gonna run through them, 9A through 9E. 9A are your October through December financials. You can see the budget to availability report for each month, as well as our 2 investment summaries, grants listing, consolidated spreadsheet. Just to summarize those, our revenues are less than budgeted, but that's because we're still waiting on our alternative weight funding that we have seen is in the governor's budget for midterm. So we're excited and anticipating those revenues, and expenditures are less than budgeted. So we're in good shape, and we're good to go. And that's what allowed us to do some of our budget amendment that we'll talk about in just a minute. Our investment accounts are up. Everybody had a great fourth quarter, and so our investment account is up $200,000, and our bond fund is up a little bit over $300,000 since the last time we talked. Grants listing, just want to point out that all of our CARES and ESSER funds are complete, and you can see in the grants listing what we've drawn down by title grant. And then our consolidated spreadsheet just includes one drawdown that we made in December, and we'll start making drawdowns each month now between January and June. Then also attached to that report is the Peach educational tax credit. We've had 16,500 approved. We've raised 12,000, a little over 12,000. That just means people have sent that money in. We've actually received a little over 9,800 of that. And then the last page is just a summary of our program student invoicing, showing that we invoiced a little over $207,000 and what school districts we've received checks from already. And that was as of December. So we've actually received more than that at this point. Any questions about 9A? Okay, quickly moving on to 9B. That's just a copy of our audit report. Everybody should be familiar with that. Looks very similar to what you would receive in your school district. Just good news, the stability is there, clean audit, clean accounting records, no findings, and the summary page showing that is page 59. And any questions about the audit?
No.
Okay,
Nope.
nice. I'm sorry, what?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay, attachment 9C is just our budget timeline, very similar to what we've used in the past. We're starting now, and we'll have a process through June of 2024. Just some challenges. We'll have, of course, decreased revenues per student, decreased overall enrollment, and the whole program student invoicing and how that fits into the budget. The dates that we'd like to point out for y'all that we've added to meeting dates for the board would be May 21st for our first hearing at 3:30 and tentative budget approval, and then June 18th, 3:30 for budget hearing, and then 4 p.m. for final budget. And we can change those dates if we need to. We just need to get all of that set before we advertise and everything. But that's what we propose at this point. Any questions about the budget timeline?
June 18th, I may not be here. But the rest
Okay.
looks fine.
Is that a conference conflict as well? Do we have GSBA? What is that, the first or the second week of June?
It's actually the 3rd week of June. So,
They just need to move that date. We can move it.
but yeah, don't, I mean, June's not a great month for me, so.
If that's, can we, if it's the third week of June, that would be GSBA's conference, but
No, GSBA is gonna be
the
first,
11th and,
this time it's first week of June.
okay,
It
okay,
won't conflict with GSBA.
okay. We'll figure something out then.
Okay.
All right,
We'll send out some
Yes.
proposed dates.
Yeah, we can switch that up. We just need to have 2 weeks in between tentative and final, so we could even move it earlier if we need to.
Okay.
We'll come back at
Yeah.
you with some dates.
Okay. Any other questions about the time?
no,
Timeline?
no,
Attachment 9D is our budget amendment. Just in summary, we've shown an increase in revenues of a little over 1.2 million, an increase / decrease in expenditures that sums about 1.5 million. So we're proposing an additional right at $300,000 taken from the fund balance. That means that we'll be projected to use 4.7 million from our fund balance this year, with a projected fund balance right now with this budget amendment of 22.4 million. And just as a reminder, like Sherry said before, they are looking for us to use a portion of this fund balance. So I think we've told them that it would be between 4 and 5 million that we would use this year, them being the Department of Education and legislators. So any questions about the budget amendment? It includes things that we've added, as well as our proposed supplement, retention supplement this year. Okay, and then 90, the final one, is just a change to our travel policy. We are actually going to start making all of our room reservations, travel policies, and reservations. But one person, the purchase officer, doing that. And we're going to get a credit card if you're okay with it from Bank of America. That's a cashback credit card to be used just for travel. It's going to streamline the process. We've run into several situations where people have taken checks and tax forms, and hotels are argumentative about accepting them and things like that. So we're going to move to this process. We've tried it. 2 or 3 of us have tried it, and it's worked seamlessly. So we're hoping that this will be much better for our staff. As they travel. It's hard when you get to the hotel and they won't take your money and give you problems checking in.
okay.
And that's all I have for the financial report.
All right, thank you, Ms. Knight. Unemployment update.
You want me to do that?
Yeah.
The unemployment update is just continuing on. We've distributed a little over 150,000 back to our employees, and we're continuing to collect money. We just had some come in recently. We've collected a little over 30,000, and we know that the Department of Labor has reimbursed employees for a little over 33,000. So the Human Resources Department here is actively working with our staff and people that have left that received money to receive that money back. So.
Okay. All right, legislative update.
Okay. All right, several points, and I shared this morning, so this is a repeat for Rob and for Beverly and Bill and Robbie. I was going through this when you came in. Okay. For this year, our focus is on moving the enrollment student age from 18 to 16. That's our focus. That's our one point that we want to get changed. And we still have our, Toby Carr is serving as our lobbyist. Thank you for the word. Kind of got lost up there. And he is at the Capitol working for us right now. And he will cue us when we need to step up and when we need to speak and when we don't. But that's our focus. We continue to go to the monthly Georgia Department of Education meeting to make sure that everybody knows we're out here working on that one point. We are still, in Zone 3, and we're not only Northeast Georgia RESA, but we're Griffin RESA and Middle Georgia RESA. And so one of our tasks is to make sure that we're growing Foothills by including the districts that are in those other two RESA areas. And so one of the strategies for doing that is bringing on a public information officer. And that will be that person's main job, is helping us to get out there and get the word and bring these folks in. Because we've done probably all that I can think for us to do as far as calling and visiting and doing what we can to bring them on, but we've got to focus there. And so that's our number one focus. I already spoke to you last month about what happened when the DOE has approved a waiver where students who are 18 and older no longer have to wait 45 days in order to enroll in Foothills. And that was a huge win for us. And so we went back and found any student who tried to enroll and couldn't because of the 45-day, and we're actively trying to get those kids in. In the meantime, Dale is working with the liaisons to make sure they understand that 18-year-olds can come directly to us. The MOU has not changed. We're still at 20 partners that have signed, but we need to move the needle there because it has stayed at 20 now for a number of months. Our enrollment numbers have stayed steady. As I said, 90% of our kids came back, which is great. We're glad to see those 90% back, but we really should have more. We did make some policy updates that we're going to share with you that are connected to this. And no, actually, before I do that, I want to share with you some numbers that we pulled. We were requested in December, Dale, I believe it was in December. They wanted to know our enrollment status. So we worked with Mountain Ed and Coastal Plains to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. And we had, when we look at FTE proper, a 9% plus reduction in the number of students. Coastal Plains had an 8% plus reduction in students, and Mountain Ed had 20%. That's your attachment 12. And that's significant. And that number will only go down because this includes students who are grandfathered in enrollment. So that's why our focus on making sure that we are addressing the FTE numbers for our site. And I think we have some pretty good strategies that we'll share with you today, dealing with 2 pilots, one in Baldwin and one in Clark, that will help mitigate some of this that's going on. But that doesn't move us off of our target of reducing the age of enrollment students. So we're being pretty aggressive about this, but this is where we stand. And you'll notice down there, Zone 7 completion school, they now named a superintendent for Southwest Georgia. And so he, I believe, Dale, started January 1. And so they're to open July 1, 2024. And we haven't gotten a lot of information, but we know that has happened.
Who's the
So
new
that's
superintendent,
huge
David?
piece.
Roland Cummings.
What do you think?
He has to.
Oh, Roland Cummings. He's a retired superintendent from Mitchell County.
Yes.
And so he is the superintendent, but he's not familiar with this model. So he's going to have a steep climb there to figure out how all this works. And I'm not sure what the state's plan is to help him with that. But we're of course ready to help if, you know, they want us. We're here, but we're not forcing ourselves on anyone. That was just named this week. But there's a couple of policies, and Dale, you might want to speak to this with the attachment 13.
Certainly. This is just a notice for the policy development policy that we have. We're going to be making some editorial changes to our policies to change our name from Foothills Education Charter High School to simply Foothills, and then change all references to the governance board to the governing board. So those are all very minor changes. And so after today's meeting, we'll get started with making those to comply with the new terminology of House Bill 87.
Okay.
And if you'll go ahead and talk about the graduation policy, this is
Yeah.
an unintended consequence of House Bill 87.
Absolutely. In the past, we had a graduation requirement that students would complete a career development course with us. But what we found in working with program students, the closer we are to the state graduation requirements, the easier the transfer for our students, particularly program students. And so we removed that requirement. However, we have had some students transfer to us already having met the graduation requirements, the state graduation requirements, the whole 23 credits, but they transferred from a district that required 28 or more credits based on being on a block schedule. And so what we're proposing is a revision of the graduation policy to require that a student take at least a half credit, earn a half a credit with Foothills in order to receive a diploma. And so that proposed policy is attachment number 14 and is certainly open for discussion, but will be placed on the table until our next meeting for approval.
And one challenge for us is that we don't have the inventory of electives that a typical high school might have. And so we're in the process of developing more electives than we currently have. So that's our way to address that. So that way, any student that gets a diploma from Foothills, they have taken at least one Foothills course.
Okay,
Thank you.
next item.
Any questions about that? All right, moving on, we have our calendar. And this set up for next year, and that's, do you believe it, 24, 25. There's nothing really significant here, just basically follows our pattern in the past. And then moving on, the schools that are CSI schools, that's us. And right now will always be a CSI school. It's virtually impossible to get off this list. And how she manages this for us. And we actually have a meeting. We have a meeting in November with our new person assigned to us, and he's meeting with us later this month, right, for the cross-functional monitoring. So yes, you will continue to see us on that list. All right, now this is what is really good for us. Public information officer. In the past, Foothills has had a variety of ways to address media. And in the very beginning days, we hired somebody from Walton County who was their public relations person to help us out. And it was temporary. We knew she was only going to be with us shortly, but she gave us great help. And it's that kind of help that we need. We need to be aggressive in working with our potential districts that will be part of Zone 3. And we need to do more than I'm doing, for sure, because I've done all the calling and walking and talking that I can think to do, but we need to do something to recruit those school districts into our membership. And so that'll be one of the main tasks. And that person would be right there with me and report to me to make sure that we know what's going on. And making sure we're doing all the proper things to generate support and communicate for people to join us. And so what we have here is we have a job posting, and Bonnie did research to find out what information officers are doing in other school districts. And so that became our job description. And we're actually starting the interviews today. And this week, we had about 12 candidates apply. And we narrowed it down to 3. And we're doing interviews this week. And hopefully we'll get somebody on board. And their task will be helping us primarily find more partners and bring them in. And they'll do other things. We have newsletters, we have website, we have all different things going on, but I need it more focused in making sure that they're fully aware of what we're doing and how we can communicate out. So that's one. I was really pleased at the response. And so, but let me just pause right there. Are there any questions about that? Okay, the second position that we have posted and we're interviewing this week, this is going to be a busy week for our virtual site. right, we've gotten up to over 700 kids at our virtual site, and that's a lot. And the way our virtual site works, it's very aggressive in finding and identifying and keeping up with students and making sure they're on task. And so what we've decided to do is to split that duty and have daytime site directors and evening site directors. So we've posted for and received a good number of applicants. I believe that was about 12 as well, to apply for being the 2 co-site directors for the daytime virtual site. So their duties will be parallel to what happens in the evening. The same functions, the same tasks, but they'll focus on the daytime students. And so that is happening. There's a lot of interest in quality virtual services, and that's what's going on there. So I'm going to pause right there to see if there's any questions. Okay. And so those 2 sets of positions are in response to really everything that's happening with House Bill 87. Because we know how to talk, we know how to write a newsletter, we know how to post things on the website, we know all those things, but we're not getting at bringing in new students from new districts. And that is our goal. Plus, we have 2 pilots, and this again at the Board of Controls I mentioned this morning. Both of these pilots, again, are just rethinking what are we doing and what can we do, number 1, to serve our districts, and number 2, to generate the FTE. Because if this trend continues, that's not good for us. We can't continue the service that we've got now. So we were asked by Baldwin County Schools to pilot a program that's in 2 parts. One dealing with our school and one dealing with what they call their online academy. And I've asked Todd Nicholson to be the point person, and he wrote up a summary. And of course, this summary could change as we unfold this and work our way through what this model looks like. But I told him he gets exactly 3 minutes to describe this. And if you have any questions, you can ask Todd. And then Dale will do the same for our second project, which was with Clark County School District. And that is coming on a little bit later, but he'll talk about what we're doing with Clark. So Todd, if we could start with you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So as Dr. Gibney Sherman mentioned, 2 programs. Baldwin, Dr. Norris Price came to us and asked us to run these pilots. The first one is essentially taking over their alternative program, which they refer to as the Baldwin Success Academy. The students are still reporting in person to their site, and they have a director there that's overseeing the management of the physical site and the students. They used to use Georgia Virtual Schools, and now they're using us for all the instructional support, which also means they have all the benefits that comes along with being a student at Foothills. So we, our wraparound student services. They had right around 40 students before the holiday break, and they anticipated having 20 into this second half of the year. They were actually 15, and then it turned to 14. So right now we've got 14 students that started last Monday. They'll be with us for the rest of the year. They are essentially Foothills students in the sense that they're going through all the Canvas courses, doing everything we already do. With a few mild changes, she wanted us to have them enrolled in 4 courses instead of 3. So we're doing that, and they're kind of doing half semesters. So they're focusing on 2 courses for the first half of the semester, and then 2 courses for the second half of the semester. And we're doing everything other than the EOCs essentially. So the students come in, they log in. If they have any questions, they can go into Google Meet. They have 32 hours during the day and or evening that they can access our virtual teachers, because it's the virtual site that's providing all the services to them. And then of course they can, if they wanted to, they can work on Canvas during the evenings. So that's unlike GAVS, where there aren't specific dates when things are due. As you know, with us, with our mastery approach, they can work through, they can get through 6 courses in their semester if they needed to. So we're very early in that pilot, but we're very excited about the possibilities that this not only offers Baldwin, but potentially other partner systems moving forward. Because the difference here is we can say, if a kid needs a geometry teacher, they can get an actual geometry teacher. And it's very hard to do that in an alternative program to provide the students with the exact teacher within the content they need, especially when you have like one or two. They can be amazing teachers, but still, if their background is social studies or language arts and they're trying to do physics or biology or whatever, it can be challenging. The other pilot that we're doing is they have Baldwin Online Academy, which is a carryover from the pandemic and students that still wanted to be in a 100% virtual environment. And again, those students were also using GAVs. And so they had to be able to enroll, when GAVs has those specific start dates and end dates. So that kind of limited when students could come into their program. So we're providing all of they're really program students that are at the virtual site. They get everything that your program students already have. But in this case, they're not physically reporting to Baldwin County, other than when they take their EOCs. Everything is virtual via their home or their residence or wherever. But they're essentially 100% online students, and they had 60 students in that initial group. I failed to mention that we did 3 orientations last week, one for the alternative students and 2 for the online academy students. We have about almost half of the online academy students have registered since they are being treated like program students. They have to go through our OLR. But we have all of the alternative students. They were up and running. They're up and running Tuesday, but then like many school systems, they didn't get to report to school on Tuesday. So they were up and running truly on Wednesday of last week. And we're still processing the Baldwin Online Academy students as parents complete the application. So I'll pause there, see if there's any questions. I didn't look at my time, Dr. Gibney Sherman, so I'm hoping I'm under my 3 minutes.
I think you did good. I should tell you that Baldwin Success Academy, those students are. And so we are paying for somebody to supervise those kids in person in the classroom at a ratio of 1:15. It's parallel to what we do with the Youth Challenge program, where we have somebody in the room with those kids who are supervising them to make sure they're on task and that they can retrieve the technologies they need. Any questions? So that's our one pilot. So we'll keep an eye on this. But Robbie, we were talking earlier, this could be a model that other systems may want to embrace if it could meet a need. But these kids are getting quality instruction from Foothills when they participate in either one of these programs. Thank you, Todd. All right, Dale's got the same challenge. He gets 3 minutes to talk about the Clark project.
I might need a minute and a half. We are very excited to work with the Clark County School District to facilitate their summer school program this year. We expect to have about 250 students who failed their classes, one or more during the school year, and they'll retake those classes with us. Clark County has set some criteria for participation. Just by example, they've limited it to specific courses that they've prioritized are really critical for a student to be ready for the next grade level. And attendance is also a requirement. And so in this case, a student had to miss fewer than 20 days during the school year in order for them to participate in the summer school opportunity. We are going to offer this in person at our Clark site location. So we're excited to get those students in the building and to be able to sit beside them and help shepherd them through their courses. Although they will have virtual options as well. If they'd like to work at different times of the day than what we're offering, then they could log in and do some work or even get some support via Google Meets during the day. I should mention, we're working with those students and parents now who failed fall semester courses, so that they can go ahead and get started this semester if they have availability in the evening to go ahead and start retaking some of those courses. And so we're beginning to have those conversations now, and we're hopeful that some of those students at least will go ahead and knock out those failed courses before the summer arrives. We are going to add additional staff to our Clark location in terms of the number of hours that they're allotted and additional hours during the summer months in order to facilitate those students. But we're really excited to be working with Dr. Scott from Clark County School District and Dr. Hooker. We're just really thankful for the partnership that we have with you all to make this happen for your students.
And for the rest of the board members, we charge $500 per course, and that's from House Bill 87 that said we have to charge the amount that it costs to educate the children, and $500 per credit is what the charge is. And Robbie, I believe Clark County is paying that fee for the students, because we do have other students in other places where the families are paid for, but this is what Clark County has chosen to do. And so that's how that is being funded.
We're excited about the partnership as well because it gives our students an opportunity to recover before summer school. And usually summer school is only 10 to 12 days. And this gives them a better opportunity of recovering that class before summer or extended time if needed. So thank you, Dr. Gibney Sherman and your team for partnering with us and making it happen.
Yeah, we're excited about this. As a matter of fact, Robbie, we're going to go attend their parent-teacher conference nights and be right there. So when the parents come in, that we can get them signed up and ready to go. So that's our plan. And so right now, Dale is working with Jennifer to come up with the timeline on how we see ourselves executing this program. So we feel like we have our hands around it, and we want to get it right, before we go much further than Clark and Baldwin with these two projects. But they're both enough different, focused on the students and making sure we can get them in and deliver quality service.
Okay. All right,
Thank
item
you.
J.
All right. Okay, moving right on. The distribution plan, and thank you to the board for approving this last week. We sent communication out to our staff. And so we will formally approve this, Robbie, which would be really an affirmation as part of our consent agenda. But basically, we were trying to figure out a way to make sure everybody got something. And we wanted to acknowledge the people that were returning and who'd stayed with us over a period of time. And so that's why we have two tiers, same money, but you have to kind of be with us a while before you get it. And so, so Bonnie and her staff have been working hard to check and double check the list and make sure that we're have identified the people in the right tier so they'll receive the funds. And we did do more than 1,000 because 500 of it is plus is in taxes. And so that's what you've got. The other group that we wanted to make sure that we included was our SROs. And you all deal with SROs and you know that zone. And so we made sure every SRO was included and they're thrilled beyond measure. I've gotten calls from the sheriff's departments thanking us, and they're working with Bonnie on how to execute this. So if you're part of Foothills, you're a part of this plan. So I'll just pause right there to see if you have any questions for me or Bonnie, but Bonnie's office is in the process now, getting ready to distribute this by January 31st. Any questions?
No questions. Next item K.
All right, thank you. And then the next part is a vape detector plan. As you know, we get a security grant. Actually, I just signed up on it every single year for $50,000.
We're waiting on what it is.
And so signed off on it. But what we have to do is we don't really have facilities that we need to fix. The regional office sometimes has some maintenance things, but not much. So we try to give it back out to our districts. And so I was actually with Brent Coleman at somewhere. And so we were talking about this, that there's a vape detector. Now we do have some issues with vaping, not a whole lot, but sometimes that creeps into our world. And so what they have here, we met with Brent and his staff, is a vape detector. And some school districts have already adopted this, but we were thinking this might be a good offering, to our partner sites if you were interested. And he gave us a pricing. It could be one or it could be everyone. But Bonnie, wrote it up for you. And what we'd like to do is to offer it off if anyone has a Foothills site. And if you want a vape detector there, then we can bring it in. And if you've already got a vape detector, you can give us the code and then we can monitor the vaping activity as well. And so I'm reading all the technical part. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's right there, Leo, is, yeah, that's the cost that they would charge to us. And so I don't know what the interest is out there. He did tell us that some of our partner sites already have it. And so could just help mitigate some of that cost.
We piloted it, Sherry, and we just sent ours back. It really was for us way more work than it was worth. Now, I'm not going to turn something down that's free, but for the cost of what we were seeing, they say it's, they have a destruction, a tamper proof. We piloted two, one they completely destroyed, and we don't have a lot of discipline issues. The other one they doused with water and managed to destroy it. So vaping is a huge issue for us. And maybe these work a little bit better and might be nice to try it down where our Foothills students are, but we did not have a lot of success with vape detectors.
Okay, well, that's good feedback. That's great feedback. And this may not be the right tool, and if you know of something else that's out there, we are certainly happy to research that out.
I'll tell you what we are looking at is we saw it at the GSBA conference. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but the portable, we do not have metal detectors, but the portable detectors were very reasonably priced. And very simple to use, and they can be moved from location to location. So, we could use it during day school, Foothills could use it at night school. And it's not that kids just walk through it. There's an iPad and it indicates if the beeps where the problem issue is. So that's something we're looking at.
Is that with the Evolve company?
They were did you see them? They were at GSBA. Were you
Yes.
there? Yeah, they were not that expensive.
Okay. I think you.
Okay, you know what, Beverly, we'll certainly look at it. And because I think we bought a metal detector down in Bibb County, because we were having some challenges with that.
Right.
And we bought, I'm pretty sure. But Beverly, let us do some research on that.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause we haven't bought a thing. We
Okay.
always like to give this money back to the districts. We've done different things. We've painted, we fixed up walls. We've done, different, wherever we are, there's a need to kind of fix up the facility a little bit. It's not that much of it, but we want to give it back because we honestly don't really need it. We'd rather go back to the system where we're housed.
Yeah.
And if you have a vendor that we should look at in particular, Beverly,
Yeah, I'll send you that information. As I said, we're definitely considering that for next year.
all right. Well, we can certainly go in that direction.
Okay. I'll send you the information.
So Robbie, if it would please the board, then maybe what we can do is send out information about the metal detectors. We can also share the information about the vaping and just let people kind of
Let
us know,
and then we can move on it.
Okay,
Again,
that sounds like a great idea.
This year, we can get it next year.
That's right.
Okay.
That's helpful, Beverly. Thank you.
If we had not tested them and piloted it, we were going to put them in every restroom, and it was an epic failure here.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad to know that. All right, we will definitely look. That's very helpful again. Does that work for you, Robbie?
Yes, that's fine. That'll be great.
Does anybody else, I don't believe it was on this call that had, that they knew of, that had,
Social circle.
it was Social Circle City,
And maybe Morgan, maybe.
and then somebody South Georgia.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, thanks. That's good redirect. Appreciate that. And then, let's see. Oh, special ed. Yeah, we met our pass again. For special ed, every year they look at us and determine if we're meeting our requirements, and we have. And we have got one of the strongest special ed directors you'll ever find. And we don't have a chance to not make it with Bell. at the head here. And so we made a determination again for this year. So that's what that's about. So that goes through all of the items. The next are action items. Are there any questions? There's a lot of content.
Think we have any questions or concerns, so we can move down to action items.
Okay, Robbie, I'm looking
Yes.
at the personnel recommendations, financials, transfer of assets. You know, this is not a casual thing. You know, Bonnie and her team have had to transfer everything we had as Foothills Educational Charter High School over to Foothills Regional High School. And that is no easy feat. It's not just stationery. It's not just signage, but all of our legal documents have had to move from one to the other. And so this big one here is we had to make sure they knew that our regional high school was a rural entity. And so that is what's going on there. Budget amendment she spoke to, the travel, the credit card. We don't issue credit cards. I want to make sure that was clear. That's not giving people credit cards. We have 3. I have one that I always have on my person, and then we have our purchasing clerk, and then Bonnie. That's it. We don't give people credit cards. Policy, Dale spoke to that, and then our new policy for purchasing, the distribution plan. And I think all of those, Robbie, can be on the consent agenda if the board wishes.
Okay, yes. Do we have any board members opposed to any of these actions being part of the consent agenda?
No.
Okay. No objections. Dr. Gibney Sherman, can we move forward to do a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Nothing would please me more.
I make a
Right.
motion that we approve all of the consent agenda items as presented.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, give it to Rob.
Any
Oh,
dis-
good, Rob. We got you in there then. Thank you, Rob.
Yes.
Any discussion? With no discussion, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that we've approved the consent agenda. Next item on our agenda is number 8, to adjourn. Unless you have something else, Dr. Sherman.
Just the one thing, we will go back, Beverly, and revise that June date and send out some options for you. And I'm going to send the May dates that were presented, work out, and we'll just work on getting that June date. And so we'll get that confirmed within the month. And then that will wrap up the budget for this year. And I did fail to say, Rob, welcome to Foothills on this side. Yeah,
Thank
Rob's
you.
been a Foothills employee from the beginning.
Yep.
Right, isn't that right? You were right there
That's-
in 2015.
Yes, ma'am. That's
So
correct.
He knows Foothills from that side of the fence. Now he's on this side of the fence. And he was over at Barrow Russell when we had to open the second site. But we are so grateful that you've agreed to remain on the board and serve on this side of the fence. So thank you,
Thank you,
Rob.
Sarah. I apologize for not being able to get in. My tech folks have locked me out of my new computer of signing into everything, and I haven't have access from them. So I apologize for being late, but I figured out a way thanks to Christy.
You bet. And what the lesson I learned today is that we will make sure we send the calendar invite for the link for the meetings as a separate mailing, in addition to the 365 page. And Robbie, the only reason we do that is because the board had asked for us to send it as separate documents. And if you would prefer not to get it that way, we're very easy to comply.
Okay, I'm fine as long as when it comes to the invitation of the Zoom link, if you send it to me, calendar invite, that would be much easier for me. But I'm probably the only technology incompetent person on this team. So
Oh, no.
No,
Nah.
No,
I couldn't even unmute myself or cut my camera on to start this meeting. I don't want to hear it. Now that should be able to figure it out.
But you did resort to the chat, and that worked out.
That's
just
right. Blame it on the cold weather.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, we will make that adjustment and make sure you get it as a separate calendar invite.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Robbie, I believe our business is done unless the
All
board
right.
has something
A
else.
motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
All right. First, I believe that was Rob, second by Ms. Beverly Levine. So we are adjourned. Look forward to seeing you guys in July. All right. Yeah, I think that's next. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Have a-
you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.